let's call this meeting to order. The time is 5:32 p.m. Roll call, Mr. Bailey. Mrs. Dean is on her way. Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Martin. Ms. Miller. Mr. Osowski.
Yes.
Chair is here. Mr. Barajas. All right, if we could all rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, President's remarks. As per usual, please place all cell phones on silent. And I need a principal to be mean to Mr. Osowski or a teacher because he was being naughty. Just saying.
We are not always the mean ones.
Yeah, give me a second.
Can you put a little fear into him for me? Okay, thank you. That's true. Sometimes the teachers are the mean ones. Anyway. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the March 2nd, 2026 regular meeting as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, motion carries 6-0. Call to the audience, public participation regarding agenda items. Moving on. Ooh, I love board meetings that have none under presentations. It's like, we will just zip right on through, girl. I might be done in time for Maria to teach her class. 17 minutes is my record. Presentations, we have none. Student representative communication, Axel.
Good afternoon. So I want to start off with this past month, the high school teachers had a Black History Month door competition. Don't know who won, but there was a lot of doors. Miss Your Rescue, there you go.
Oh.
Then, right now it's Dead Week, but we have spring sports starting next week. Hope Squad, we had a good Hope Week, successful and everything. They're also planning to go to the elementary schools to read to children. I think, if I'm sure, second grade we'll be reading. We'll be splitting up into two teams, Hilbert and Beach Elementary.
Nice, thank you. All right.
Are you on the Hope Squad?
Yes, I'm the president of the Hope Squad.
Oh, you're president.
Wonderful. Interim Chief Financial Officer Communications, Maria.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me at your board meeting again. I just wanted to speak to the board about the shared service program that the district currently has. And if you're unfamiliar, what it is that we have a number of non-public schools that we partner with. And what we do is we provide instruction, non-core instruction to our non-public school students. And for the sliver of time that the non-public school students sit in front of our public school teacher, we get to count their FTE and submit that count to the state for state aid reimbursement. And it can only be non-core instruction. So hopefully everybody's familiar with that. I came from a school district that had the largest non-public shared service program in the state of Michigan, Brighton area schools. We started out very small, and over 3 years, we built it into this monstrosity because, as I had mentioned to the board before, we didn't have $1 in the bank. We didn't have $0 in the bank. We had minus $8 million in the bank. And this program was the biggest lever that we used to make our teachers be the third highest paid teachers in the state, even though we were operating at the minimum foundation allowance. And so I have some experience with the shared service program, and I had some concerns about how our program was run the last time I was in the district, and we kind of went out for like an informal bid process. And when we met with the providers, we had hired our new CFO, and I had left the district hoping that maybe we would negotiate a more favorable contract. And as it turns out, the contract we negotiated was actually significantly less favorable for the district than what we currently had back then. So just to give you some idea of what industry standards are, we have 382.57 FTE in the program. I think it spans about 11 non-public schools. We generate I'm going to talk round numbers, $3.8 million. We are currently netting about 700,000. We should be netting closer to $1 million, okay? So that's about a $300,000 swing, just based on, I think we had, I want to say 50 non-public schools in Brighton's program. We had about 24,000 students in the program that when you brought them down to an FTE, was about 4,600 FTE. So think about 4,600 FTE in the program I came from and our 382 FTE in this program. So, you know, we have this history of data. The cost to run the program should be around $385,000. We're currently paying our provider about $584,000. And so that's about a $200,000 difference. And we also do the HR and a lot of the people accounting work for the program, which that's unusual to me. Usually the service provider does all of the people accounting and HR and all of that. So just to give you some idea, the cost of running your entire finance department, is about that number. $585,000. And that's four positions running full-time to run your business office. So I began again to look at the contract, and there is a very onerous out clause in the contract that says that if we do not notify them by June 30 of 2026, their contract automatically renews for 3 continuous years. So I started to look at the contract and realized that there was so much conflicting language in the contract that it was practically unadministrable. And the provider is calculating the numbers of how the program works and billing the district based on the provider's calculations rather than what the contract says. And the district had just been paying that over the years. And so when I started to dig into it, there were calculations that violated contract language, nebulous contract language. So we have been in conversations with the provider since July, because August, I mean, well, we had to.
No, we started,
Yeah.
you and I, in November. with-
Yeah, so I had been talking to him prior to that, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? And it's difficult for him to even understand what was in the contract, what has been agreed to. And so we contacted our district attorneys, and they also are befuddled with the contract because it is literally unadministrable. And we need to figure out a way to renegotiate that somehow, even if it means to put the RFP out on the street again and start clean, because we can't even unravel this. And so I wanted to talk to the board about that because we are coming close to wrapping up our negotiations with our provider to terminate this contract with the help of our district attorneys and to figure out a way to start fresh for the 26-27 school year.
Whether it be with our current provider
Or somebody else.
or someone else. So we will put out RFPs once we're able to terminate this contract in order to determine where we can get the best bang for our buck, and that's all.
So do we need to give them like a 30-day notice of non-renewal or?
The termination agreement, so the hook in all of this is that in the contract, it says that we are not to count anything but categorical or non-categorical revenue in the revenue calculation. And we've been counting categorical revenue for years. And when you count backwards, it's a significant amount of money. And there is this unjust enrichment clause that even if the district agreed to it, paid it, when you interpret the contract, the vendor should not be unjustly enriched by this calculations. And it does not help that the vendor calculate the numbers. So let me give you an example. We have agreed to support our non-public schools to the tune of $200 a student for supplies, because the foundation allowance that we get is not just to pay teacher salary and benefits, it's to support students in the classroom. So we were being billed for an amount that equaled $200 for supplies for students for the 25-26 school year, and of course, I wanted to see the receipts. Well, receipts could be provided, but for $6,000 less than what we were being billed for. And I think it was customary for the district to just pay the invoice and keep on rolling. So we have our negotiations have been cordial. Superintendent Nachman has been in the negotiations with our vendor, and everything has been civil. I don't know if we can maintain that relationship. It seems like we're kind of coming to the end of it, and so hopefully we will be able to negotiate a smooth cessation to that contract. Upon signing the termination clause, we want a June 30 termination. So we're coming close to presenting the vendor with the closing documents to close out that contract.
Wow. So this is why we have you. This is why you're Maria the Marvelous. Because the fact that this has been missed, right? And I remember when the previous CFO, when Mr. McIntyre, Greg McIntyre was CFO, he brought that to us in an effort to bring income into a district that was struggling. And I guess I never thought about growing it, right? But if we have that, the opportunity, one, to write something that sounds like it hasn't really been as beneficial as it could be financially, and two, grow the program, i.e. increasing our revenue, which we desperately need, and helping more kids with opportunities that they wouldn't get in their non-public schools, right, with classes that they wouldn't get. Why wouldn't we be doing that? Like, thank you for looking at this and looking out for our best interest. I'm
that's a lot of money.
surprised that our last CFO didn't know, because it wasn't his, public school accounting wasn't his thing, right? I'm surprised that McIntyre didn't, he was a better CFO than that. Or at least I thought he was.
Well, the thing is, the contract evolved over time. It started back in 2013, and you can see the split was 25-75 between the district and the provider. And in 25-26, that number is 55-45. So to 55 to the school and 45 to the provider. So over time, you can see how the contract has evolved.
Almost like they took advantage of the fact that.
I'm not going to characterize it like that.
I'm just gonna say, you know me, I'm gonna speak some truth, right? Wow, okay. Go ahead.
So, I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar, but I'm trying to catch on a little bit. So it sounds like, for instance, they billed us for something that we didn't even use. Like, they billed us, did you say that they billed us for an amount?
So in our agreement with our non-public schools, we have agreed to support them $200 a student for supplies. What I'm accustomed to is that we cut the non-public school a check for $200 a student. They take that check and buy their supplies with it. The way that our district has been providing that service is the service provider is in between the district and the non-public schools. And so they would call the provider and say, I need Spanish textbooks, I need tech support, I need you name it.
Right.
And they were providing all of that instead of just letting the non-public schools do what they want with their supply check. And so the provider was being asked to be reimbursed from the district for their out-of-pocket expenses for providing the support to our non-public schools. And when I asked for receipts, they were unable to provide
All of the
receipts.
Gotcha.
They were, let's say it was $70,000, which that's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
They were able to provide receipts for 64,000.
Okay.
But in the past, I don't think anybody had ever asked for.
The receipts.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like, when you say non-public, are you per se talking about charter schools?
No,
and
charter
private?
schools are technically public schools. It's all non-publics, like you're Catholic, you're,
Okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to
Catholic
make sure.
schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. And so you said something about our teachers are like also sit in front of these students.
So when we go into a non-public school, we interview teachers and hire teachers to teach their students, which almost without exception, we hire the existing teacher that's currently in the building.
Our building.
No, their building.
Oh, they picking their own
Yeah.
staff. Okay, gotcha.
You know
Okay,
how,
okay.
you know
I got
how sometimes on our HR
Yeah, that's what,
agenda-
that's what,
yeah.
it just connected.
It'll say
Okay.
SES,
Yeah,
that's those
yeah, that's
teachers.
what's, okay, gotcha, okay, gotcha.
I was like, did we have one this week? So, yeah, this sounds like we need to,
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey.
Some of these teachers that we hire, are they shared?
No,
Or they just stay in their building?
they stay in their buildings.
And
So geographically, these non-public schools are not close to us.
They're all in Macomb
Yeah.
County.
how are we limited? Are we limited to county?
So unfortunately, no, I can tell you the history of that. It used to be your county, and it was ISD, it was your ISD. And then in 2011, they opened up the program to contiguous ISDs. And then they also determined that you can have a service agreement with another public school to provide service to anybody. So let me give you an example. In Brighton, we are Livingston County, when they opened it up county, it was contiguous ISDs. That opened up Oakland, Macomb, because they all touch. Ingham County, which has a very robust Catholic school network there, we were able to tap into that. But also let's call him the vice president of Michigan School Business Officials, his kid went to Novi Catholic Central in Saginaw. And he called me up and said, hey, Novi Catholic Central wants to do a shared time program, and we want to use Brighton because you guys are the best. And we said, okay, you're way up there. We had to find a public school partner. So we went to Merrill Public Schools, which, I don't know if you've ever been to Merrill, but I went there. It was in the middle of nowhere. I went to their board meeting and to talk to their board, and they were like, what's this person doing? Because no one ever came to the board meetings. To talk to them about partnering with Brighton area schools to be the public school partner with Merrill so that we could get Noval Catholic Central into our shared service program.
So it's beneficial, right?
Pardon?
It's a beneficial operation, right?
It is beneficial, yes, but it could be more beneficial if it was run a little more efficiently.
So also, I see on the bills that we pay that most, if not all, of these schools that we work with are Catholic schools.
I really am not certain what they are. They're all Catholic?
They're all
Okay.
Catholic schools.
Yeah. I went around a couple weeks ago to drop the balance of their supply checks off. It took me, I don't know, 4 hours to drive to all of them.
So if we were to move on this, is there a possibility that it could be opened up to whatever schools within the law
So
are interested as opposed?
it started out that way, and it grew, and it's our fault. Brighton grew so big that it started to attract some attention, and when you get an attorney general's opinion or legislation written regarding what you're doing, you've kind of made it, right? So if you recall, Governor Snyder limited the growth of these shared service programs to 10% of your existing population if you already have a program in place. And so what that did was do nothing but let the bigger programs like Brighton, who had 4,000 kids in it, grow by 400 kids a year. We can only grow by 38 students a year.
Yes, but we still grow, right?
Yes, we can still grow.
So the thing is, what I'm seeing with the bill, that it's all Catholic. What I'm interested in is if this is a service that we can provide instead of narrowing it down to certain groups, it's open.
Yeah, we will take anybody, and, you know, there are other providers out there who are plugged into a network of non-public schools that have relationships with a lot of non-public schools, and they're always trying to place students in programs like this.
And if, you had mentioned about finances, right? Our finance department's about half a million a year, right?
Maybe a little more, but it's for full-time people.
Right, so how hard would it be to just adopt this and do it? Is that-
Ourselves?
Yes, is it
We
that
would,
difficult?
well, we would have to hire probably a full-time person to do it. And not that I'm not advising against that, because Clarkston does that. They had one person on staff that managed all of this. The thing is, it puts a burden then back on HR and people accounting, because then they have to do that work as well. And what we're not taking advantage of is that relationship that another provider could have with this plugged-in network where they could feed the program.
Yeah. And I think to your point, Mr. Bailey, is, you know, right now they're all Catholic schools, and the reality is most non-public schools are Catholic schools. There aren't a lot of Protestant private schools out there. I know this from experience, from looking for schools. When my children's school closed, my choices were like Novi Christian, and I can't remember the one in Southfield.
Southfield Christian, we have them.
Southfield Christian, and like Westside Christian Academy, which is now a charter school, I believe.
Well, Cranbrook, Country Day.
Right,
you
and
know.
or I could go to Cranbrook or Country Day or Brother Rice, which
Well,
was.
Brother Rice is Catholic,
Oh, right.
and we have them too.
Which was, and so I had to look at what was, you know, reasonable for our family. There's not a lot of opportunity out there for someone who's non-Catholic to put their children in non-public school. There just aren't, because they're expensive. That's why my kids' school closed. We couldn't afford, Detroit
Sure.
World Outreach could not continue.
Well, and this program has saved some non-publics from closing altogether, like
Yeah.
Livingston Christian would have closed if it
Yeah.
wasn't for us.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a matter of not wanting to do, you know, service schools that aren't Catholic schools. It's a matter of there just not being a lot of them out there.
The chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So my concern, to go on the record, is not who does it. It's that if we're gonna do it, it's present to anybody within the law. Now.
We don't refuse
we're not
service to
excluding
anybody. And if all of our people stay with us through the transition, if we make this transition, we can only take on 38 more students, just so you know,
Per year,
So-
right?
per year, yep.
So one-
So like, I have a relationship with Novi Catholic
it's
Central.
limited
They're
by
not
law.
partnered with anybody. I've been trying to get them for years. If we got them, that's all we could do, just that one school, because they would probably bring 380 FTE to our public school.
Yeah.
Right, but what's cool, and from the beginning of me realizing this and being told per year, every year you go by gives that opportunity to grow.
Grow, yep.
Now, you're only restricted to 38, that's fine.
Yeah, next year will be 40.
Point is, that's right, you keep growing it, that's the benefit. Now, what age groups is this good to?
K-12.
That's it.
They have to be FTE foundation and allowance-able. Allowable.
Allowanceable.
And these childcare things and like that are
Nope.
not
Nope.
anywhere being considered like preschool.
No,
or
because you
K.
don't get an FTE for kids that are not kindergarten.
Yeah, it's just K-12. It's GSIP, not even part of the program.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions regarding this? Maria does have to go teach a class, so.
Well, not this one, but it was a question from the thing that you highlighted about the Children Methodist home, and it was the balance of how much we were paying them.
Oh, St. Valentine,
It was
it's,
in the- It had been put in the wrong account. So we already fixed that.
Okay.
There was that one.
It's a
that
title?
said Methodist.
Title money?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Keep us,
thank you.
keep us
Yes,
posted.
as we work through our negotiations with our attorneys, I will definitely keep you posted. Let's hope we can, because there's no arbitration contract no arbitration clause in the contract, so we have no place to go but to court.
To the chair, one other thing.
Mr. Bailey.
No worries.
So the thing is this, is you mentioned that this contract slipped through, the wording was poorly done, whatever. How do we keep doing that, making that, where we're into these situations? You would have thought it's automatic procedure that it's given to, if we don't understand the language, we automatically turn it over to somebody who does.
That is a great question, because certainly our attorneys should have reviewed this contract, because even a light reading of it would be you would realize that it just doesn't make sense. And so it's my understanding that when this 3-year extension was signed, only the CFO signed it and never went to the board.
That sounds about right. Because I don't remember an extension coming.
So just to give you some idea, like, I have an agreement, like an engagement letter, if you will, with this school district. It says, you have to give me 10 days' notice if you want me to leave, and I have to give you 10 days' notice if you want me to leave. That would literally be a 10-second notice if you wanted it to be. Why are they tying our hands for 3 years if this wasn't such a lucrative arrangement for them?
Yeah, I understand that, but in terms of our perspective, best practices, again, you think it would be in stone, this is how we do contracts.
Yes,
And again, it's over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
We're not doing this.
yeah, I'm trying to turn over every stone as fast as I can, and this is a boulder.
So when do you need approval on this idea?
Well, we need to work through our negotiations, and then however that concludes, we are hoping to have a new structure in place for the start of the next school year, and we will keep the board updated every step of the way,
So it has to be before June, obviously, then, right?
before July.
July. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good job, good job.
Moving on. Interim Superintendent Communications, Mrs. Nachman.
So we do have our staff members of the month, and it was a request of the board last time that there is some more information provided as to why our winners were nominated. And Jackie has gone through and listed those. I'm not going to read those all tonight. I'm just going to read the names and where they're from, but you have all that information there so that you can look at it when you so choose. So from the Keeler administration, we have the fabulous Terry Ariola. That's right. That's what I like to hear. Beach Elementary, we have Jane Rushalou. Jane actually is retired from Redford Union and has come back and is now working as an academic teaching assistant. We have a
She
lot of.
just couldn't stay away.
No, we have a lot of retired people who come back. Redford Union Junior High School, Rachel Wiggins, one of our Spanish teachers, or our Spanish teacher there. And from the high school, Asha Shaw, who is our early college coordinator.
Yeah. Yay.
Keeler Day Treatment, Carrie Kornacki.
Yay.
I heard over there. And from McGowan, this building, one of our teacher consultants for the DHH program, Jan Bollinger.
Yay. Whoop, whoop.
And as per usual, we have our board brag book, and so we will start with Miss Nickel sharing her brags.
So we had our first house competition after our tours, and so our teachers all got together and created games to do. Our students participated and did tour games and had a really great opportunity to focus on teamwork and team building. I thought somebody was definitely gonna go into the splits when they were playing the Hungry Hungry Hippo game. We laughed so hard, it was great, it was, needed for everyone, so we appreciate that. Therapy dogs are visiting our ASD program, so we have been working with this child specifically on not trying to jump on them and ride them like horses. Because she's small and they are big, and she thinks more than anything that they should be ponies. So, this has been over a year process of working with her, using, social stories, doing all the things that you can possibly imagine we do to make sure that she does not hurt them and ride them. And this was the first time that she engaged with them in the safest and most appropriate way. Although there was open mouth kissing, it was a very exciting time. And she was very,
That's okay, puppy kisses are good.
straight in there.
Oh, well,
Now you're supposed to choose. Germs or nothing.
that's right.
Mrs. Birch.
All right, we celebrated Black History Month by focusing our houses. Each house had a theme, and from their theme, they connected with certain historical figures in Black history. So they did that at their house meetings. There were some cool things that they did. These are their products that they were hanging up around the school. Working together. We also had our first annual sneaker ball.
Those pictures were so cute.
Hosted a sneaker ball, so it was kind of a great time for all to be had. However, we also collected gently used sneakers. We now have over 100 pairs. So the goal was to dress nicely, but wear your sneakers. So the kids had a great time with their families that day. So it was a
Look how
wonderful
cute
evening.
they are. Look.
And those are the stickers that we collected, and we do have a few more. We are at over 200 pairs. And then we turn those in and get cash back for them.
Nice. Yeah.
You said, what did you get for them when you turned them in?
Cash money. Cash money.
So it's a fundraiser and a service drive.
Mrs. Sims on deck.
Again, but that's it.
All right, we officially welcomed in semester 2 and celebrated all of our students that were on the AV honor roll and principal circle. That means they received all A's. These students have plans in place to help them succeed during the second half of the year, so that's even more exciting because we want them to continue growing. Hope Squad did a remarkable job with their Hope Week celebration, which was the week of February 9th. We had a spirit week in place and we had activities at lunch every day. It was really great. We even partnered with the high school, so some of our previous Hope Squad members that are now on the high school side came back over and had fun at lunch with our kids, and they were all, they were all like awareness-based activities, so super fun. In the lunchroom, nope, you can go. 8th grade English Carrie Kuka had all her classes partake in a week-long grammar bowl, not to be confused with the Super Bowl. On this day, there were high school football players, some of them junior high alumni, who came over and ran the plays with the students. The students were excited to come to school and come to class on these days and look forward to showing off their grammar skills. On February 5th, our entire 7th grade participated in a Greek mythology wax museum, which was the biggest event we've had at the junior high since I've been there. Like it says here, we packed the cafeteria with over 90 families, and it was awesome to see how much preparation and planning and just the execution of the whole thing. They practiced, and every student came up and had their speech ready for, like I said, these 90 families, and then they whittled it down into categories, and there was winners at the end for different categories, which was really cool.
It was very well done. I was able to make it over there for a little bit. They did a very nice job. The kids were very well spoken. They all did a great job doing their speeches. That's all for you.
All right.
Okay. Good job.
Mr. Taylor.
As Axel said, we celebrated Black History Month. We did our door decorating contest. It was more of a storytelling project. All the doors told stories, so we had great interaction with the students, and most of our doors were decorated by students, so they got a kick out of that and they learned a lot. We're going to be doing the same for March, because as we should know, that March is Women's History Month, not History Month. So we're going to be doing the same thing at the high school this month, so the
Mighty women.
teachers and kids will be working together to do that. our school resource officer, this month we celebrated National School Resource Officer Day, for some reason on Saturday in this country, but still we did. And ours, most of
I mean, we texted him.
yeah, we texted him. He didn't realize it until he started getting text. But, some of you have had the opportunity to meet, Anthony Hall, who's our school resource officer for the Redford Township Police Department. He is highly respected in our community, not just for the police work that he does, but for how he treats people, our kids, our families with respect and dignity. We've got a lot of compliments on him, and I've been through, I think he's our 7th SRO, and he is one of the best. So his goal is, and he understands what our philosophy is, it's not to arrest kids unless he absolutely has to, and that's, if the law was broken and there's no choice, he's there to help kids and get them on another pathway so they're not running into law enforcement. He's excellent for our district and his community, so we're thankful to have him, and he does great work throughout the entire district. Ms. Sims hit on our Hope Week squad, Hope Squad Week, that Axel, in case you know, the president of, he does a great job. This is another example of the junior high and high school collaborating on a lot of things, which is one of the main intents of having a secondary campus, so it's paying off. Also, a couple weeks ago, we had our Beat Thurston Pep Assembly that resulted in a loss the next day. However, we did a fundraiser for the senior class during an assembly. Obviously, you can see, we call it pie in the face, but it was shaving cream, or it was whipped cream on a plate. In front of the entire school, they had a blast, pie and many of our teachers.
It's I want to know where Mr. Taylor was, why he wasn't. I said I would pay, I told Brian, I would pay good money to pie you.
But, we're gonna flip it around and have our staff pie some teachers, or our
Pie some
staff pie some
students?
students.
Oh, I love it.
To raise some money, right now, probably for our district rooms at the junior high and high school, so we're looking forward to that. I know a lot of teachers are signed up.
A lot of money to find.
Yeah, yep.
Well, next page here, so this was kind of a neat project that we did.
That might come back and be a lot.
Two of our, Ms. Malcolm's a volunteer to get hired.
Yeah, I think we're volunteering you.
I'll buy him for the board. I'll buy him for the board.
I think the
I'm
board
not
could,
afraid
we
of
could
anyone
pool
praying.
some money as a board and help you out. Oh, sorry.
So this is a neat project. So we had 2 former special needs students that have been a staple in our community. Both of them unfortunately have passed on, but they were a staple, Rodney and Jimmy, as we call them. Never missed an athletic event, parent-teacher conferences, band, choir concert.
They were there.
Everything. Community-wise,
Donkey
basketball, community-wise, they lived at the fire station. They were just good, sweet people, and they impacted this community greatly. So I know when Rodney passed, there was a push from the alumni base and community to name the gym after him, and we had some stipulations on naming the gym. So the board did not do that, and that was, in my opinion, the right call, just because of board policy. So we came back years later, and through a donation, we were able to name our concession stand over here at the new secondary campus, which is on a corner, Rodney and Jimmy's Corner. So we showed that to the alumni on the Facebook page, and it was probably the most interactive post we've ever had. So a lot of people were happy about that, and I think it was fitting, and it still stayed within board policy when we're naming something after them. So. And then lastly, Nixon Flowers, who was one of our seniors, he was the first in a long time to qualify for the state finals for boys bowling.
Yay.
At Century Lanes in Waterford a couple days ago. He started off 2 hot games, they played a total of 6. The first 2 games he was really bowling the ball well, and then he got tired, and he ended up placing 44th.
6 games is a
But it's
lot.
big deal that he made it there, and he's a
Yeah.
really good kid on top of that.
Good for him, yeah. Way to go.
And Mrs. Jane.
So this was actually a reschedule, but Miss Prudence Rose is from a nonprofit called Must Careers, and what they do is they help pair kids after high school with potential trade opportunities. And so she comes in pretty regularly each year to talk with our kids and just let them know what opportunities are out there. And she goes over how you can be paid to learn, to get into these trades. And she works with kids that need help perhaps in building up their math skills and or whatever they might need to pass the test that they need to get into these trades. She focuses on construction, and that's what that particular organization does. But it does open up the opportunity to talk to our kids about what other trade options are out there as well. So we always like when she comes.
Quick question. Has she presented to like the whole high school side? She has?
Yeah, she attends our fair and does private presentations too.
Awesome.
And then the last thing, we just want to bring your attention that this Friday is Employee Appreciation Day. So we just want to take a moment at the meeting just to make sure, well, those of you who are here, but as a reminder to the board, if you want to reach out to any of our staff on Friday or take a minute, that this district does not run without all of the people in our buildings, regardless of their role, regardless of what they do. We don't make the district run, they all make the district run.
right.
And we are grateful to have them, and we appreciate them. And there will be treats on Friday.
Ooh, treats, yeah. Rosemary's like, "That's treats," yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
But it's been a rough couple weeks, so all of the treats might not make it everywhere.
They might get eaten on the way. Uh-oh. Yes, right, right. All right.
And then your calendar of events, as usual, is in your packet for you to peruse at your leisure. Lots of things as we wrap up the year coming up, so.
Can you believe it?
I know, I was thinking as I said that.
I know, it's like, oh my God.
Right.
Wow.
I thought, I was thinking about that today, because, we had talked in our last week about the time, and I thought, really, it's only a couple more months, and then we can change it, and it's not like it's gonna be here before we know it, man. Awesome. Well, one of my first memories of being a volunteer was Jimmy and Rodney at the concession stand, I will say, and Rodney always being hungry. And we would give him a hot dog or a slice of pizza or something, and 10 minutes later, he'd be hungry again. and we would say, Gary Gradensack would say, okay, you already had a hot dog, He was always hungry, bless his heart. So sweet. And I don't know how the gate ever gets opened ever again without Jimmy. It's just like you pulled up and the gate was opened. He knew who to let in that gate and who didn't. And I'm so glad that we can give them just that little bit of honor out of respect to the lives that they touched. So, awesome. Okay, moving on. Communications received by the board secretary. Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications.
The only thing I have is that an update on bargaining. We did start bargaining with the teachers last Thursday. And that session was simply Ms. Gistinger coming and giving the financial report and answering any questions that the RUEA had regarding our finances and things that they saw throughout the budget. So we did provide them with all of that information. And due to other things in the schedule on the side of the RUEA, other meetings they have, we will resume bargaining again in 3 weeks. And we will bargain every Wednesday until we have a ratified contract. But they have a great bargaining team. I believe we have a great team, and we work really well together. So I'm confident that we can get this done fairly soon.
Awesome.
I have an HR question. So, isn't it Lambert who was doing our communication on Facebook and things like that? So have they resumed?
We actually meet with Lambert bi-weekly, so I was waiting until we could end the relationship with our social media intern, and then we will ask Lambert to resume those social media endeavors. So yes.
Thank you. So Chair,
Mr. Bailey?
who's on our negotiating team?
On the district, it is myself, Ms. Gistinger, Ms. Crenshaw, and Mike Taylor. So it's, and then on the side of the teachers, we have Lisa Hildebrandt, who's the RUEA president, Justin Rosen, who is their vice president, Sean Jennings, who is a teacher at Beach Elementary, and Abby Holzman, who is a math teacher at the high school.
And when did these negotiations start?
We had our first negotiation on Thursday.
That's for the teachers, but didn't you say that an agreement was already reached with the administrators?
We have reached a tentative agreement with our administrative group, and then we will begin bargaining. I'm waiting to hear back with our secretaries and our educational assistants. I already talked with the MEA executive director. She has some things going on in her own life, and so she was asking that we start toward the middle and the end of March. So,
We started with the administrators, right?
yep, yes, we
And
did.
when did that start?
The administrators, we bargained starting, I think it was February 26th. Do you remember, Mr. Taylor? Mid-February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually wrap up pretty quickly.
They wrapped up quick. They have a small contract, and I will say that the administrators wanted to step up first. They knew that we were struggling financially, and so we did pretty much an extension of their current contract and looked at a few things like their work year. They have not ratified their contract yet. We have just reached tentative agreements. And so that's why it has not come to the board yet, because we have not gone to them yet for a vote.
So actually, I think the finances of the payroll is like a third of our budget. So that'd be like a 10/9.
Yeah.
So the
I
thing
wish
is,
I knew.
if we're doing this, is it possible that we can be in the loop in terms of knowing what's going on, what's being asked for, and
Technically, no. Typically,
violate
we
something.
come at the end. The only time that might happen is if we reach an impasse or we reach a situation where the two sides cannot agree, and then it might be a tactic where I would come to the board and say, we've offered this, but they're asking for that. Typically, that is not the case of what happens. So,
so I just came back from an MASP presentation on agreements and whatever in Lansing. And I had an opportunity, the room was full, to listen to other boards. They have, of course, there's 700 school districts, different strokes for different folks. But still, if we're a governing body, we need to be aware of what's going on, and this is occurring in other school districts. I don't think we're blazing new ground in terms of being part of the process as opposed to being kept at arm's length. And then this is the agreement, it's your role to approve it.
well, Mr. Bailey, you have to understand too that our CFO is involved every step of the way. She knows the finances, nothing's getting by Maria. There's a risk in bringing everything to the board meeting because you're putting things out there that have simply been discussion during negotiations, and unfortunately, discussions can become rumors, discussions can become, this is what we were supposed to get, but the district said no, or this is what our union leadership turned down. If we bring it to a public meeting, there's a reason negotiations are held privately. There's a reason that the group is small, so that we can have these discussions, so that we can have these sessions, so we can go through the finances and come to an agreement that we think people can live with. and it goes to the groups to present it to them, and then it would come to the board. But typically, and I was just also at the negotiators conference, and they highly recommend you don't discuss it at the board table unless you're in a situation becoming contentious.
No request was ever made about the board table open meetings act, but they do have closed meeting options. We just went through that with the superintendent. So, and we've done this before in terms of talking about agreements and things of that nature. Also, in terms of objectivity, MASB has an option which they can review contracts and give us an idea of where our contracts stand, as opposed to the people who are main benefactors are the ones who are deciding the contracts. We can get an outside review of it and say, we're missing on this. This is from 20 years ago and it's not needed, there's too much wording in this. They even have suggested using chat, what is it, GBT?
GPT, very cautiously they recommend it, but yes.
Yes, but to run it through there for ambiguous language. So at least you have a clue whether you have a can of worms that you're gonna regret later on. You don't have to accept it, but the thing is you're aware of it.
Right. And just so you know, Mr. Bailey, our contracts are reviewed. We do have our contracts reviewed. That is part of what Miller Johnson will do for us, is review our language. In fact, the last contract where we had to bring back some of the language that that was removed from the contracts because it wasn't a subject of bargaining, when we brought it back in, the attorneys actually provided us language in which to do that, and then they reviewed it. So we don't just, the contracts are reviewed.
And then I also had a chance to speak, well, the attorneys were speaking, right? And one of them was from Thurn.
True.
And
We've
he
used them
mentioned
before.
that he'd be willing to come and speak with us. Again, any of you guys do contract negotiations regularly? No? So the thing
I did
is-
it when I was at Meyer. Actually, I actually helped navigate contract. I helped negotiate a contract with the UFCW 951 with Meyer when I was a union steward. That passed overwhelmingly. I haven't done it since then, but I am familiar with it.
When you can help guide us. But the thing is it's outside expertise that we're listening to.
But that's what Miller Johnson does for us.
I didn't listen to him. Did you have a chance to hear him?
But if they review our contracts, then they give us their expertise.
Right, but I see what you're saying. We can have Miller Johnson or Troon come in and talk to the board about negotiations and how that process works, if
Oh, that's
that's
a
what
good
you're
idea.
looking for.
And the process itself, instead of,
Would that be a workshop?
okay,
Yeah, it would be a
at the
workshop.
next meeting, we have to approve this. It's part of the process, right?
Right.
And the information that's presented, we also get that. How many master's degrees there are and steps and whatever.
Yep.
As opposed to after the fact, which typically I'm finding that's the case, right?
Absolutely, we can arrange that. My only request would be that we use Miller Johnson simply because they're our typical attorneys rather than paying another fee to another attorney's group, because that's costly to do that. So I would request that we have our contract person from Miller Johnson, whoever that might be.
And I'd also like to put a request in, like I have before, in terms of being an observer.
You said observer of the,
Of negotiations?
Yes.
That's
Mr.
almost
Bailey.
unheard of. Almost,
No, actually,
almost
again,
unheard
I came
of.
back to the
Right.
meeting and
Yeah.
There
other
are-
boards are doing it, so.
There
You
are
don't need to be in
districts
authority.
that do it. I will say that, again, at my MNA conference, they highly recommend doing it, and they recommend not doing it, and they do that basically for the board's protection. Because when you're sitting in there listening as a board, even if you're just listening and not participating, you're no longer non-partial. And you have staff that come to you, or you have administrators, well, you were there, you heard this. They highly recommend that you don't do it. I've had people also ask me to sit in and observe because they're doing it for a class, and it's just highly recommended that if you are not part of the team where you've made this commitment to work with certain norms, that you don't do it. But I do understand that there are some districts who do. It is just not a practice that we do. And the guidance at every conference I'm at is that for the protection of the board and to keep the board neutral, that someone does not observe negotiations. It also sets a different tone because your negotiation teams learn to work with one another and they have a rapport that goes back and forth. People are not going to be free to speak, or the conversation shifts when someone else comes in to observe, just like when an administrator observes in a teacher's classroom, or, you know, your behavior shift, your conversation shift. And so that time is really pretty much a sacred time. People don't enter the room, you don't share what you're,
What happens if
what
it is-
happens in there. It's to protect everybody is why that happens.
Can I offer this, if somebody is just really wanna see that happen, possibly bring it to the board, we can bring it to a vote and to see how the board votes on it. If that's something that you would like, to where we bring it to the board and say, hey, look, this is a practice that we want as a board.
Yeah, but it's gotta get onto the agenda, right?
Yeah.
Well-
That stuff does not get on the.
We
agenda.
also have to remember that the negotiating team consists of a group of teachers. And those teachers have a say in what happens. And I can tell you, it is not what they would want.
Yeah.
So we have to remember, it's not just our side negotiating. We have to be respectful of the other side.
Right, we don't need to
And
be in there.
we set the teams, and those are what the teams
We
are.
don't need to be in there.
And we present the teams to one another, and we know that going in. It just really creates a different tone, and, you know,
I look at it like this, for instance, when you have a review committee and we don't sit in a review committee because of the fact that review, the person may eventually want to bring information to the board, they may want to sit and present to the board. And if we're a part of that process, then we're technically not partial, so.
Correct.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's correct.
we also discuss some highly personal things. We discuss particular people, we discuss particular positions. And those are things that we've all committed. What happens in that room stays in that room. And again, it changes that dynamic when someone else comes in, because you don't feel like you have the ability to talk as freely. I know, you know, our group of secretaries, when they come in, they have a lot to say and a lot of things they want to get off their chest. And I think that conversation would change if the teams were to change. And they had a visitor or a guest come in one time, they're gonna shut down and not say what they want to say, and then we've just slowed down negotiations. And you also kind of break that level of trust that you've built.
All right, thank you. Moving on, Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology Communications, Mrs. Crenshaw.
Hello. I don't really have any bond updates this week because we met, I
Last
think,
week?
at length last week. We did get drawings for the baseball field, so those have gone out to our advisory team. Those drawings, I think the final drawings are not due until later in the month, I think the 7th or something, 9th maybe. Our bid opening for Stuckey's demolition is Wednesday. We had quite a few people come through. I think they talked about that the other day. So we're expecting quite a few bidders for that project. The fence is all up. We've gone through and taken as much as we think we need to take out of the building, so I think we're pretty close to ready to go for that. Our testing window for NWEA closes on Friday, so we'll have that session finished up and ready to move into some other testing in a couple weeks. So everyone's super excited about that.
The season of testing.
Yes, it is.
I have a question.
Mrs. Johnson.
I remember somebody from the community, and I believe also somebody who works in the district, I came to the meeting and requested that we kept the tree that was in honor of someone? Was that something that we were doing?
That's Stucky.
Yeah, yep, the bond team is aware of that. We're pulling the year, there's a year brick in the wall, in one of the sides of the wall. We're pulling that, we're pulling some of the brick from the building to keep. The rock and the tree are gonna stay there for now. And then, so they won't demolish those things, they'll be on site. And then once we decide what we're gonna do with the property, we'll figure those steps out then.
Thank you.
Yep.
Quick question, just for possible going into the new year. Can we like have a concrete, maybe a workshop about what's actually being taught, what books we're currently using?
So we've talked about this in the office. That would be a very long presentation. So I guess if you guys want to request, if you guys want to request a specific subject that we could do maybe at different board meetings, we could do that. I'm not bringing all of it together at one meeting because we'll be here for days and nobody wants that. So, but yes, if you guys want to pick like a subject, we can pull those things together to have at a workshop. But yeah, we don't want to do, it would be a lot.
Maybe broken down by level,
Yes.
like early elementary, middle elementary.
Yep, we
junior
can do
high.
that.
And while it would take us some time, but it is a,
Start.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, that falls under us, you know what I'm saying, as a board, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So.
It's good, some good information to have. All right, anything else? All right, moving on. Interim Executive Director of Student Services Communications.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. I wanted to start by giving an update of our Parent Advisory Committee. I attended the meeting at RISA last month, as did Ms. Gomillion, our parent representative, so it was great to see her there. Technically, it was virtual, but she was in attendance. We had talked before the meeting. They did a great presentation on specific learning disabilities for parents. It was done by one of the RISA reps, who is also a school psychologist, so just really understandable, parent-friendly language, what to expect if your child is being evaluated. So that was just really nice to see. And then we've got one thing on the agenda, MDE complaints. How many are in the district this year? The answer is 1.
So what are you referring to?
Okay, so state complaint is when a parent files a complaint if they feel any part of the laws that we're required to follow as special educators have been violated. So, for example, when a parent requests an evaluation, the district has 10 days to respond and hold a meeting regarding that request. If we waited 20 days to hold that meeting, that could be the basis for a complaint.
And how does that compare with other years?
Standard, we typically might have 1 per year. From what I am aware of, many years there's none.
And how is this addressed?
So the whole process. So
The one complaint?
Yeah. So for any complaint, there will be a very detailed list of what the complaint is regarding. The MDE will request documentation from the district to support, so if it was regarding timeline of an evaluation, we would have to have our supporting documents to, hopefully show that we were within the regulations that we are expected to follow. They interview staff members, and then they will give a follow-up to that complaint of either whether there is a finding, meaning that they did find that the district was in violation of something, or they will determine it's not a finding. If there's a finding, then there's typically some type of corrective action. There's student-level corrective action where, if it might be like reevaluating a student, reholding an IEP, and then district-level corrective action could be training of staff or updating policies and procedures.
So is this handled through the MDE within their system? Is there any time in which we would possibly be involved?
Will you as a board be involved?
Yeah, if the parent's not satisfied with the process and they wanted an alternative,
I don't think so.
would they be coming to us, or is this
No.
completely outside?
This is completely outside, so it's completely handled through Michigan Department of Education. And then Wayne Risa usually helps to support them, MDE.
Dr. Lindsay has
Thank
something.
you.
They'll also do mediation too, to see if the two parties can come together to come
Right.
up with the agreement, and then if that does not work, then they would proceed with the other things that
Yeah.
Jennifer was saying. So
Right.
there's an opportunity for the parties to sit down and discuss, and see if they can come up with some type of resolution to,
So do we become involved if it's not? If there's no resolution?
We don't.
Where we become aware of it or we become involved?
Neither. It's strictly between the district, the special education department, and MDE. And like Dr. Lindsay said, thank you, that, I think the reason our numbers are so low is because we really try to work with parents before it gets to the point of them filing a complaint.
that one is good, like that's awesome, because you will find that, even districts this size will have tons of state
Yeah.
complaints, so we must be doing something right.
You guys are doing something right.
So I would say this too, like for instance, let's say for instance, Bailey, if the board would be involved, your question was, well, let's say for instance, if the parent just felt like for whatever reason they wanted to come and speak about it, then the parent will bring it to our attention that way.
Yeah.
But as it relates to actual state complaints itself, typically, well, not typically, it's just, no, the board is not, involved. I wanted to also note to that, because that's a part of it, was that particular complaint, was there findings or no findings?
Yes, there were findings.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Future workshop topics, as you can see, we've got some work ahead of us, some planning, some of it we've started, some of it is new. Please keep in mind, Tuesday, the 17th is strategic planning. That's our board input session.
Did I miss something?
I don't think so.
You're talking about future meetings.
No, I'm talking about future workshop topics.
All right.
I'm just pointing out the strategic board input session specifically. Because it's the next thing, and it's important that our voices be, heard in that process as well. I don't need to read them, you all are capable of reading them. All right, moving on to consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
Did you say you wasn't gonna read?
I'm not going to read the list of future workshop topics.
For record purposes though, and by this being a public meeting, can you please read it?
Sure. I mean, the agenda is on the record, but okay. Future workshop topics, 2025 capital bond projects update. That's a monthly topic and will probably be covered every month in workshop. Strategic planning continued. Strategic planning board input session, March 2026. HIV presentation, March 2026. Food service, March 2026. I don't think we're going to get all of that done on the 17th. Health education curriculum, potentially April. How students are being prepared for leadership, potentially May. I'm going to say potentially because these things shift. Board policies, continuing work on that, possibly in June. Onboarding, continuing work on that, also in June. MyKIP reporting in June. Use of the old schoolhouse to be determined. Board norms and protocols to be determined. Office referrals and suspension statistics update to be determined. Superintendent search to be determined. And other topics as we add them. Curriculum, I think, was one we just added.
And just so you know, when those months are listed, that's just kind of a sketch, a framework as we're thinking through when we can place them. Some things might not pan out, some things we have to move around, but that is just us kind of sketching it out so that we're not doing 12 of them in June. And then also we need to look at the topics. As Mrs. Pridemore just said, March might be difficult with that being our strategic planning input session because they need an hour and a half of your time for that. So to have 2 additional presentations might be a lot for March.
Yeah.
So we'll have to take a look at that.
All right, are we good? Okay. Consent agenda. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Mrs. Johnson. Is there any discussion?
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So under the special meeting minutes of Redford Union Board of Education, there's essentially nothing on it.
Because it was closed session.
Yeah, again, minutes are supposed to be kept, the purpose of minutes is to record the meeting. Yet, how does one not have a paper trail for what's been done?
Because you don't make public what was discussed in closed session, hence closed session.
And, excuse me, I was not in closed session.
Correct. You don't record closed session.
When I speak, it's not in reference to anybody in particular. It's the pattern of what the board does. And the thing is in terms of transparency, open meeting, I would think logically that there's a paper trail. Now, the minutes are by law have to be kept. The minutes don't have to be available to the public. But something happened during that meeting, and it's the same thing with going into closed session, not saying what it was for. I've raised that objection before.
We did say what it was for. We went into closed session for the purpose under 8A or 8H. Anybody who wants to know what that means can look it up in the Open Meetings Act. What is said in closed session is said in closed session to protect people. Therefore, minutes are not kept because by nature, then they are not protecting said people. If you were an employee and we were in closed session discussing whether or not you were going to lose your job or you were going to go to arbitration, you would not want that written down anywhere where it could be FOIA'd, get into someone else's hands. It is to protect this district and the people who are discussed in that.
And
And
Mr. Bailey
you
just.
know that from Open Meetings Act.
So the legislature would not have it in the law where you have to have minutes for a closed meeting.
They would not make us put what's discussed in closed. We would not put our attorney opinion, our legal opinions, in our minutes. It's not done. You know that.
Mr. Bailey, we just, Jackie and I went back and forth with several emails with our attorney as to how to list it on the agenda. We sent him the agenda, he reviewed the agenda, he told us what to put on there. That's exactly what we did. It was requested by him that Jackie is not there because of the record-keeping process. So all I can say is that my son's an attorney, and he has told me you just listen to your attorney. So that is what I did, and I understand that you have some different thinking than he does, and so you're welcome, because he is our district's attorney, to talk those things through with him.
And I'm registering that difference, okay?
But I'm just saying,
So noted.
for my,
That's fine,
for my peace of mind, I will just follow the attorney's advice.
that's fine.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. There were no action items, there were none removed from the consent agenda, and there are none on our non-consent agenda. So, call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. Hearing none. Interim superintendent's remarks.
I just, in your packet, Miss Martin actually reached out to me maybe about a month ago, just asking what our procedures were should any federal, now again, I can't get to it.
I know, right? It's like.
It's dressed in black, that's what Jackie said. If immigration and customs enforcement were to come into any of our buildings. So I have provided in your packet, this is from a compilation of things that RISA helped put together through their team and their coalition of work, as well as some work that Grand Rapids did. And this is generally what we are following throughout Wayne County. So there is more documentation that goes with this. I just included the 2 pages that I've asked for the principals to provide to their staff, primarily to, their teachers and their office staff. Should someone come into the building and ask for a student, that they're very clear what the law says regarding students' rights and how they are to proceed. So I've enclosed those in your packet so you can review them. The first page is just our quick step 1, step 2, step 3. And then the second page breaks it down to guidelines for our secretaries, for our teachers and support staff, and for our administrators, and for security, so that everybody knows what their role is and how they should proceed. We'll hope that it never happens, but this will be available should that occur.
Quick question. Should this be something that you sign on or no? Like saying that we're adopting this as our policy?
No,
or-
because we're really not, it's more procedural, or as Mr. Bailey presented toward the beginning of the meeting, best practice.
Okay.
It's not really district policy that's going into a handbook. These are just procedures, steps we will follow should this occur. And actually, this is taken right from legislation, right from law, as far as students' rights and their privacy. So it's already been adopted into law, it is already legislation, so it's nothing that we would need to adopt. You would never make students available to someone who came into the building without appropriate documentation and a warrant and so forth. So it's just making sure that we keep students' rights, as well as our staff, should they come in to see staff, at the forefront.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So in regards to this, what is suggested to be done? The thing is this isn't a hypothetical. So if anybody refuses, close the door or whatever, if you're in a car, they'll break your window and pull you out of the window, right? If you close the door, it wouldn't be far-fetched that they would come through the door. So, and being caught in the center of being there and actually refusing entry and things of that nature, again, not hypothetical, they've executed 2 people. That's a given. Again, they're pulling people out through the doors, so you piss them off, and there could be a downside to this. The thing is, it's just not a piece of paper. It can go bad real fast. My suggestion would be that instead of just, this is the paperwork, this is what you do, is actually go through the rhythm of somebody showing up at the door, they want to get in, and you actually go through the process just like an active shooter training. The only defense that you have is the fact that you've got that camera, you pull it out automatically, and you have as many people as possible doing that. Now, another thing is to know about cover and concealment. So in other words, you're standing out in the open, you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to go back by a door, not a wall, it's just plaster or something of that nature, a block wall. You want to know this stuff in advance, what you're going to do, because you might not have that opportunity to think at that point in time. And this is real, this isn't just something that maybe happened.
Those are all excellent tips, Mr. Bailey, and things that I can certainly bring back to our leadership team, and we can discuss how we can run drills and put that into action.
Let me take this a step further. So, over a period of time, I've been observing how we treat, not we, society treats our employees who go on the front line. So the bus driver tried to disarm a kid with a knife. He was fired. There's an administrator who took a gun from a girl's backpack, and he was fired. So I'm not going to be there, folks. You're the front line. You're the one that's doing it. What I can tell you I'm going to do, I'm just 1 of 7 here. I will back you up to the hilt the best I can. Again, I'm 1 to 7. I don't have any guarantees, but I'm not going to let you swing. So as long as you know that, and again, let me stress the point from the military aspect. That's why they have basic training and desensitization. You think this out in advance because you may not have that opportunity. And this, again, is not a hypothetical. They are executing people. And the head of that department specifically said, it's not immunity. They have immunity. So that makes people act differently if they're the actors. They don't have
Okay,
to pay for it.
I think we need to remember that this board is nonpartisan, and we are tipping a line on putting our partisan opinions in here. I think your point is to make sure that our staff has a little practice and they know how to protect themselves, and that is a valid point. And at that, I'm going to stop this conversation, because whether we believe what we personally believe with regards to what is happening in this country is not appropriate discussion at this board table, because we are nonpartisan. I appreciate your concern, though, and I do think training, some practicing is a valid point. Mrs. Martin?
Just for the record, I personally did not hear any type of partisan views take place. It's just was mentioned.
We were getting close, though.
Okay, I just wanted to highlight that. That's all.
And then my next thing on a happier topic is strategic planning. So I'm just keeping this in the forefront, that March 17th at your workshop is your board input session. I will not be there. I'm not supposed to be there.
Oh.
So you can have at it. And again, that day will be our input
I know.
sessions for our.
We need green beer. Oh, wait.
For our staff
I don't drink beer.
and community and administration. I will also not be at their meeting, and so they can have at it as well. Today, you should have received emails from me and Jackie regarding the community input sessions, as well as a link to the survey. All of the principals received that link today to pass on to their students and their families. I did forward the link to all of the community members' names that you sent me, as well as others that I had on my list, and the parents' names that were sent to me. This link will be sent out again on Monday, and it will be sent out again on the following Monday. Yes, people got it 3 times today from myself, from Jackie, and the principals, because we are trying to get it out there as much and as often as we can.
Marie says 6 times? Because you
So-
got it as a staff member. and
So
a
maybe
community
what will
member.
happen is Marie will go, I better answer this darn thing, so they'll quit bugging me.
That's funny.
So, you'll still get 6 more next Monday. So that is where we are. We are working, I will be working on the invitations for a retreat tomorrow. So for those of you who passed on names, I appreciate it. Some people, we don't have addresses. I'm not even really sure what organization they're from, but you did forward me an email, so they will get an emailed invitation from me. And I think that's my only update on strategic planning for now. Of course, I have not heard from Scott Morrell in 12 days. So, well, no.
No?
I'm a little nervous. So hopefully those dates don't change, because I'm hoping everything is okay on his end, because
he's okay, yeah.
he hasn't, it's been 2 weeks and I usually hear from him every day, multiple times.
It's like him and Kevin, right, every day. All right. Board of Communication, no. Board of Education, Communication, and Discussion, Mr. Osowski.
One thing I know coming up is girls flag football, April 24th. 3 games under the lights.
April 24th?
Yep.
Girls flag football.
We play Thurston's gonna be here, Garden City's gonna be here, Cody.
Wow. That's my husband's,
Yeah.
that's my husband's alma mater,
Yeah.
Cody High School. Yours too?
As Mr. Taylor said, March is Women's History Month, so I'm excited to see what the high school does with that. It's also Developmental Disability Awareness Month and Social Work Appreciation Month. So to all the social workers And those who do a lot of social work, which is all of you, enjoy your month.
And to our board members who do social work,
Yes.
we appreciate you. Ms. Miller?
None at this time.
I have none. Mrs. Dean?
Just thank you guys for all that you do. I want to get ahead of the appreciation day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do for our babies.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Miss-
you guys.
Yeah. Mrs. Martin?
Same sentiments, absolutely. You know, I truly appreciate each and every one who works for the district. It's not an easy task. It's a lot. And also wanted to lift up that our library is doing some cool things for a reading month. That they're doing some cool things, just period, at our library.
They are doing great things.
And so they have like cooking classes for youth, and I mean they got tutoring is coming out at the library. Darn it, I forgot the date, but it is going to be in this month. So please, encourage students, get out there, utilize your library.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Bailey?
Does RU have access to the MASB database, the Aaron database?
Aaron, I think so. No, I don't know.
I do not know the answer to that, Mr. Bailey, but I can find out.
If you would, and if we do have it, I'd like to request.
And you said
access
Aaron,
to it.
spell-
ERIN.
ERIN, okay.
It's used for negotiations, things of that nature, to show
We don't need to.
the characteristics of a school district. Also, there was a law that was passed that said that any student surveys, or any surveys that students do, which I imagine the strategic plan entails, if it's not the answer, or the questions and whatever else isn't put onto the website, that there's a 5% penalty.
Correct. So it is on our website. That's one of the main reasons it's on the website. So yeah, Ms. Crenshaw is very aware of that, and our surveys always get added to the website.
Also on 31A, it's official, you got a response that it was rescinded, is that correct?
The 31AA?
Yeah,
It was
our
rescinded.
request.
Right, it was rescinded, and we have the information that it was rescinded. Somehow we are still getting the payments, though, as are several other districts within Wayne County. There is something going on. So we are reaching out
Just keep the money.
to MDE. Of course, we are not spending the money, and the plan will be to reimburse the state by June 30th. But we do want it to go on record with MDE that we have rescinded it, and it's on their system clearly showing that we've rescinded it. But us, along with maybe 10 other districts at the superintendent's meeting the other day, they were talking about how they were still getting this money, and I'm thinking, oh, thank God we're not getting the money, and then I found out today we're still getting the money. So, so we have to make that phone call and put that into action as well. But we do have documentation that we've rescinded it, so
And
we
it's-
are clear for that.
Is that litigation still pending? I'm sorry, Mr. Bailey, that litigation is still pending, right?
That litigation is still pending. There has been no movement as of yet. The only movement there has been was they took all of the money that the districts rescinded and spread it out to the districts who accepted it. So now what we're trying to figure out is what happens if they rule in our favor and they've
Right.
decided they will take out the client attorney privilege, how they're going to reallocate those dollars that have already been sent to other districts.
But we said no regardless, so we would be in the pool though.
No, we would be. So we said no, we rescinded it.
Right.
But the purpose of of rescinding it was if they rule in favor. See, if the court comes back and says, you don't have to do this, you don't have to wait, then all the districts are entitled of it, because you don't have to agree to take it, because there are no stipulations, you're not giving up your rights. So then the state's
So then
going to
they
have to
have to make
figure
this
out how
call.
they're going to recoup that money and give it back to the districts, should they rule in our favor.
Okay, that's good to know, because I was thinking, like, even if they went back and changed it, that
No.
meant we were out.
No. So that was part of when they went back to court, that they did say if you rescind it, then if the court upholds if the court, finds in favor of the, districts, then you'll get the money. You can still get the money, but they've already distributed the money, so we'll just let them figure that out.
That was it.
And apparently, maybe they'll rule in favor of the districts and we just can keep the money that they've sent us by
Exactly.
mistake, but we'll figure that out.
To the chair.
Go, Mr. Bailey.
So, according to one of the lawyers, there was a problem about the resending of it, pressing the button. Button didn't respond or something like that. So, again, like you're saying.
We're saying we have the screenshots of it. Kim, we have it in the site. If you log in and you go to that grant, it will show that we've rescinded.
Right, just, the reason I'm telling you is just so that you can hear what I heard from them. right?
Okay.
So if you already know, you already know. But the thing is from what I understand, the lawyers, you're still on the hook because it didn't register resend, even though you got the paperwork and whatever, just that may be in the future, how they look at it. Also, in terms of what I'd like to do again is have the idea proposed for a committee on innovation and committee on best practices to be put on the agenda.
Mr. Bailey, there was a question about that. Are you asking for a board committee on those two items, or are you asking that the district put together committees of our staff on those two topics?
So the way I approach that is we have 7 people sitting on this board, right? Instead of asking that the school district keep adding on to their burdens, I think the school board can have a positive benefit moving forward for the school district. So yes, it would be a school.
Okay, thank you.
School board.
So let's remember that this board works as a committee as under the guidelines of committee of the whole. We do not and
That's
have
not
not.
what the policy says.
But we have not for several years, because of your actions, had separate board committees, because you seem to not understand that a fourth board member can't show up to a committee meeting. And so we quit having committees, and I am not inclined to entertain creating committees again because you specifically do not understand that a fourth board member doesn't show up to a committee.
Not what the law says.
So the law,
Page 8 or 9 on the Open Meetings Act, Ms. Nesser, or what's the Attorney General?
Dana Nessel.
Dana
Right.
Nessel.
so we solved that problem by doing everything as a committee of the whole. I don't have a problem with this board doing both of those things as a committee of the whole. That's where I stand on that.
Can I say something?
Yes?
So, again, I'm just always thinking about both sides of things. So if the request is to place it on the agenda to have the board vote on this, what is the harm of that?
It defeats the purpose. There's no harm in it, but I'm just going to say this. The reason we quit, I'm going to say this again, the reason we quit having committees of 3 board members was because we cannot seem to agree that your right as a citizen to show up at a committee meeting does not, that you don't have the right as a citizen, that it creates an issue with perception of there being a quorum. And so we protected ourselves by doing away with committees. And we started doing the work as a committee of the whole, which is what most districts do.
Sorry.
The only committees in the past that we have had as a district were committees that were superintendent committees, administrative committees. And that's not to say you can't have both, you can. We've always, in the past, when we had administrative committees, we had like 3 or 4, and then the board members kind of divvied up which committee they were passionate about, right? But the problem was, Mr. Bailey specifically decided that he had the right to show up to these committee meetings and create this issue of a potential quorum.
Yeah.
And even though he's been told by countless people, lawyers, Open Meetings Act experts, that his rights as a citizen do not apply here, because once you sit down at this board table, you give up that right.
And, I think that, I definitely.
So how dare, I'm sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No,
So
no,
how
no.
dare the person who is the reason we did away with committees ask for committees now? How dare he?
Let me provide you with the law. I'll send it to you.
I don't need you to provide me with the law. I'm well versed in the law and in Open Meetings Act, and I am the most tenured member of this board. I understand the law, and I understand the purpose of committees, and I understand why we don't have them anymore.
And I think that, I definitely understand what you just said as the reasons why we don't have committees anymore. And I also, it's not a and or, it's not a but, it's more of an and or. And it's like, even though that was a decision, it's not currently our policy. It's not actually written down anywhere that this is the structure of the board. So I personally, just to keep things, upright, and say, hey, look, let's put it on the agenda. Let's present it to the board. And if the board at large say, no, we don't want to do it, then that's fine. That's the vote of the board. It's not an individual you versus me situation.
It's not a you versus me. It's not a you. This board did away with committees. This board did away with committees.
Is
And
it written in our bylaws?
we don't have, our bylaws don't say that we have, or it says we may have committees.
So therefore it's not done away.
So I think Ms. Martin is asking if it goes on the agenda as a matter of discussion, and then it is the will of the board to not have those committees, then it's on record, and that's how we proceed and move forward. Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay. So could it just be on there that the board could?
I mean,
It's up to you, obviously.
But
I'm not,
here's
you know,
what I'll
member
say.
of the
I
board.
don't control,
One person.
I don't control the agenda, right? I mean, I do, but I don't. I won't actively fight against it being on the agenda, because that doesn't serve any purpose, because then they have the right to amend the agenda, right? So, yeah, that's fine. But I feel I'll state for the record, we can't have it both ways. You can't say we're going to do committees and then not follow the rules if you don't get put on the committee.
Absolutely.
And so I think that needs to be part of the conversation. If we go back to having committees that are 3 board members, then we need to understand that the board member who may have their panties in a bunch because they didn't get picked can't just show up, because then we're opening ourselves to issues. So, yeah, we can put it on the next agenda. That's fine. All right, future meeting dates. Tuesday, March 17th, that's the board workshop. Strategic planning, if we haven't told you already. A few times. Strategic planning, very, very important. Here in the board meeting room, 5:30 p.m. Monday, April 7th, regular meeting, 5:30 p.m. here in the board meeting room. Saturday, April 11th, 8 a.m., strategic planning retreat. Strategic planning retreat, 8 a.m. In the high school multi-purpose room / cafeteria across the hall. Tuesday, April 21st, board workshop, 5:30 in the district meeting room here as usual. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Osowski. I didn't hear who that second was.
Lakia.
Seconded by Mrs. Martin. It was like in unison with Mrs. Johnson. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, motion carries, 7:10 p.m.